Well, we celebrated Thanksgiving out in London. The kids were there. There was a stint of sobriety following how sick he got on set with Paul Bettany after one of his drug binges, and he kind of just came alive again. You know, he even played a prank on me about having relapsed when he hadn't relapsed. You know, I started to kind of feel that with the kids being around. I did think that maybe this was it. We were on a good path, meaning to sobriety, that this was it. And our life was peaceful for a minute. You know, it went back to being wonderful. There were these moments that just felt so wonderful.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
All right. I'll just sustain the objection.
Okay. Take us to the engagement. There was an engagement party, correct?
Then, yes, come Christmas of 2013, Johnny had rented this beautiful mansion in Malibu on the beach. It was gorgeous. And he brought my family out, and his family was out, obviously, in LA, and we stayed in this rented mansion, and we're all together for the holidays. And one evening we were going to his mother's house. His mother, who you've heard about, was older and sick, but at home being cared for. And one evening we're going to have dinner, Christmas dinner there with her around the time of her birthday as well. And my best friend said, "You should."
Objection, hearsay.
Sorry.
Wasn't offered to prove the truth of the matter, but go ahead. Go past that. What did you do?
We went to Betty Sue's house, his mother's house, and Johnny proposed in front of our families in this big, surprise. He surprised me, got down on one knee, and I cried and hugged my mother and hugged his mother, and he gave me this enormous diamond ring, and it was a nice time.
Okay. I'm going to take you into January, February 2014. You employed a woman named Kate James, is that correct?
Objection, leading.
What, if any, relationship did you have with Kate James?
She was my assistant at the time. I hired her sometime in 2012 and had as minimal contact with her as I possibly could. So,
and why is that?
She was difficult, troubled, and inconsistent. She drank on the job and stuff like that, and her behavior was
objection, relevance,
horrible.
She's already testified. Kate James has testified, and I think the bias. We can.
All right, I'll allow that. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. Please describe for the jury what job responsibilities Kate had and how you communicated with her, and kind of how that worked.
Objection, compound.
Overruled.
Thank you.
We had minimal person-to-person interaction because I was hardly ever in LA. If I was there for a few days at a time. And Johnny and I kind of lived in this insular bubble anyway when we were together. But we would send emails, texts, and a lot of voice memos, voice notes. And, if I found that if I said, Kate, you left the car running with your doors open and your kids in the car on the street. You
objection,
need to move
hearsay.
it.
She's not testifying. She's testifying about context.
Sustained objection. Next question.
All right. I'm going to ask you to take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 209.
Your Honor, I'm going to object on hearsay grounds.
All right.
We lay the foundation, Your Honor.
It's still hearsay. May we
Ms. Hurd,
approach?
did you, may I lay the foundation first? Ms. Hurd, did you communicate with Kate James by email in the ordinary course of your business?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you to take a look at Defendant's 209. Is this a communication that was between you and Kate James that was in the ordinary course of business with her as an employee?
Yes, it is.
So, Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 209. Business records exception.
Still hearsay, Your Honor.
Business record exception gets the business record, but it's hearsay. If there's hearsay involved inside the business record, there's still objection to hearsay.
Your Honor, the business records exception, I mean, I don't agree. I think that's the point that hearsay can.
Approach.
What, if any, communications did you have with Kate James about your issues with Mr. Depp?
Objection hearsay. Objection hearsay.
Your Honor, Ms. James has testified.
I'll sustain the objection.
All right. Well, we can take that down, Michelle. In the February, I'm going to jump to February, March 2016. What, if any, communications did you have with Mr. Depp about a prenup?
Well, after the engagement, but before the engagement party, I started to feel like it would make, you know, I know that he earned significantly more than me. He's a successful actor. I wanted to eliminate any doubt in his mind and in other people's minds. So I brought it up to him and brought it up to my therapist.
Objection hearsay.
She's just saying that she brought it up to her therapist. She's not saying what she said. But please focus on Mr. Depp, okay?
Of course. Johnny said he would tear it up. He said, if you ever brought one up to me, or if I ever saw one, got my hands on it, I'd tear it up. Only way out of this is death. Only way out of this is death. And I thought it would, like, I didn't care either way, but I did feel that it would eliminate suspicion or doubt, and it would make things easier. And I told him over and over again, you know, are you sure? Are you sure? Maybe we should do this. And one time he said to me, he's like, kid, are you already thinking of how you're getting out of this? Are you already planning to get out of this, kid? You already planning on leaving? It was around the same time as the moving in together conversation. He accused me of having one foot out. And they kind of were happening around the same time. You know, I still had my apartment and we're engaged now. He was asking me to redecorate Sweetser, his main house, and kind of move into the ECB building downtown where my best friend was living at this time. While the decorations and the remodeling had been done on Sweetser. And so these conversations were kind of happening about how to build our future together and how we were going to move forward together. And I would have forgotten about the extent that we had those conversations early on in the engagement if it hadn't have been for my therapist's notes.
I'm sorry, if it hadn't been for your what?
If it hadn't been for my therapist's notes, which were
Okay.
taken at the time when I was talking to her about this and my conversations with
Objection, hearsay.
Okay.
I'll sustain the objection.
We'll move on. Okay. Let's take it to March 2014. Did there come a time there was an engagement party?
Yes, so it was March 2014.
Please describe for the jury.
We had an engagement party, and we decided that when we did get married, we'd have a small wedding, you know, something intimate. But, our lives were kind of big. His life was extremely big. And we needed to we wanted to have a bigger engagement party than a wedding, you know, and kind of get our guests in, our family, our friends, and have a big event of it, as opposed to making the wedding something that was big. And, so we kind of put it on the engagement party and had a bunch of people, a lot of friends, business acquaintances, a lot of family. I had all of my family friends and my childhood friends come out for it. And I even invited my therapist. It was, a big event.
Okay. And describe what took place at the engagement party.
We walk in together and we took some pictures and said a few hellos, and then Johnny disappeared upstairs I guess it's like a coat room or something. It was in a big abandoned building that was rented out for events. And he had disappeared upstairs almost the entire party, I would say. It was kind of came down at the end when we were leaving, and came down once because he was at the time sharing drugs with my dad.
Objection. Speculation. Lack of foundation.
How do you know that he was sharing drugs with your dad?
I was there. I watched it.
Please continue.
My dad at the time was was addicted to the same thing Johnny was. And so my dad had, either my dad ran out or Johnny ran out. I can't recall which of the two ran out, but there was they needed more, of course, and had to leave the party. My dad actually left with Johnny's